Loud. Okay, this meeting is being recorded. Welcome. This is for anybody that's new, this is our 9th virtual meeting. And as usual, I'd like to go over just quickly a couple, I'm sure you're all pros at it by now, the housekeeping ideas. Would you please keep yourself muted just to keep out any unwanted background noise? And then it's nice that you're all on the live picture so we can see everybody. That's a good thing. The gallery view is up towards the top. You have speaker view and gallery view. If you want to see everybody, you're on gallery view. The questions for the question and answer period in art, I don't care if you do it or I do it. But anyway, after the speaker, after Keith gives his talk, there's a couple ways you can ask questions. One is to hit on a participant screen down below. You see in your bottom of your computer, you hit on that. And then off to the right, the names will come up. You scroll to your name, click on that, and the little hand will pop up. And then the hands will pop up in the order in which they were received. And then either Art or myself can just click on that. I can do that. And ask the question, or actually, Keith, we can discuss that when you get there. You might want to just do that directly yourself. The other way of asking questions is through the chat. And perhaps, if depending, I think the hand raising probably won't work because you have to scroll from screen to screen. Okay, so I'd like to call on at this time, first of all, I want to find him, Gary Keene, and ask him to unmute himself and to see if for our words of inspiration. Are you there, Gary?
I am, thank you. All set?
We're set.
Let us pray silently together, each one of us according to our own individual beliefs. Let us offer thanks for the blessings of fellowship around us. Let us be a source of hope for those in need and contentment for those who are lonely. Let us give gratitude for our opportunity to serve. Let the feeling of love, kindness, and well-directed yet gentle spirit always be reflected in our actions.
Thank you so much, Gary. And now I'm hoping I don't delete you from the, from the meeting like I did last week. I'm going to go back to gallery view here. There we go. Are you still there? Yes, you are. Good. I still don't know what I did. Thanks again, Gary. Appreciate it. So today we have 2 new members, and they were introduced last month as our guests, so we don't need to go through the full bios, but I am going to call upon their sponsor and them just to say a quick hello. So, but I want to find the person first. So I'm looking for Mike Kane.
Khan, and I'm here.
Khan. What did I say?
Kane.
Khan. I'm sorry.
I've been called worse.
Not by me. Not yet, anyway. I still can't find you, Mike.
In the gallery on my computer, I'm right next to you. I'll reach out and touch you.
That's a scary thought right there. Well, in any event, yeah, none of mine. No. Okay, well, Mike, why don't you just, and what I'll do, I can see Lou, so, oh, there you are, yeah. Okay, Mike, you can just say hello and introduce you.
So kind of reintroducing Lou Bada. Known Lou for a number of years now through actually meeting through my wife when they were both ambassadors at Mount Sunapee before Vail bought Mount Sunapee. Great guy, long and storied career with the Air Force. I'm not going to go through his bio, obviously, but you know, long and storied career with the Air Force and you know, diplomatic things through the Air Force, and then with FEMA as a director level with FEMA, and now in his retirement, very involved not only in Rotary locally and so forth, but also he's the volunteer emergency coordinator for the town of New London. So if I got the title right, Lou, or correct me, but introducing Lou Bada to the group.
Okay, Lou, would you like to say hello, Lou? Just a quick hello.
It's wonderful to be here. Thank you very much. And it's a one of the neat things about this group is from what I understand, is the intellectual effervescence. So that is something that I'm looking forward to listening to the speakers and really building myself up.
Well, welcome aboard and congratulations. Next, I'm calling on Sandy. I know you're here someplace, Sandy.
The upper right-hand corner.
Yeah, see, that doesn't work for me. But anyway, Sandy, by the way, is coming to us by way of California. Well, I'm looking for, where in California are you today, Sandy?
Carpinteria, which is just south of Santa Barbara, if anyone knows that neck of the woods. But I was hoping that I could show you folks the Pacific Ocean, which is behind me on the other side of that curtain and behind me, but it's too bright, so I'll just defer. But it's a nice picture. So I invited a very old friend last month's meeting, Jeff White. I know he's here. I've seen his picture. And he liked the meeting so much that he wants to become a member. So Jeff, why don't I turn it over to you and you can just say hello.
Good. Yeah.
Jeff, I don't,
Can you hear me?
Unmute,
yeah,
Jeff?
now we can, Jeff.
Terrific. So I'm a relatively new resident of New London. We've been in a rental property for 6 months. And as we're speaking, I've got 5 movers here from Millennial Moving, clearing out our rental property and moving us into Highland Ridge. So I'm delighted to be part of this group.
Well, great. Congratulations and welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Okay, I had a question in the past after our last meeting with regards to some of the speakers. Our members thought were so good that they wanted to send their the recording to social media. I asked if that was possible. And the answer is yes, but I would still ask you, because everybody realizes it's recorded, but I'd still ask that you send a request through me so that I can give the courtesy one more time to the speaker to ask if there's any objections. By the way, is there an echo? When I'm talking, I hear a feedback.
A little bit, yeah.
Echo, and we also have Lou Bada on full screen.
Oh, okay. Oh yeah, there's Lou Bot again. Do we still have?
Go to
Lou?
your view and change it to gallery.
Yeah, you can do it manually yourself.
Now you see me, right? Is Lou off of there?
You're on now, Joe.
Full screen, huh?
You're full screen.
Rats and frats. Okay, let's see.
Did you change your view to gallery?
I did. There we go. There's gallery view. It says gallery view to me, but then it shows me as full screen. Am I still full screen?
Not to me.
Yes.
Yeah,
No, you're full screen.
if you're not looking at gallery view, try going up to the right-hand corner and changing it to gallery view on your own monitor.
Yeah, that's what I was doing.
Joe, you're on full screen to me.
Yeah. So if I go into my own picture and maybe if I put pin video. No, that's full screen again, right? Ah, gee. Anyway, I see everybody in gallery view. Brenda, do you know how to get me out of the full screen? I know it's, I'll just take 1 second to get You want to see my ugly picture up there the whole time?
Can you just continue?
Yeah, I can continue, but this is where
And you want to what?
they're telling me I'm full screen, even though
Only on some.
only on some.
I think it's probably got to do with,
Share screen.
is it a problem? Oh, why don't you just let your speaker share the screen and forget about it?
Okay, all right. Well, we're going to be going into speakers anyway. So I'll just say that I had a request for to send just the speaker presentation to social media. And I asked the speaker, got permission, and everything's fine. I also checked with Eastman Community Association. So we have no problems. If you would like to send copies of this, once you get, just touch base with me, to social media. So I would like to call at this time, I think, yeah, I'd like to call Paul Etkind, if he's here, just to give us an update on where we stand with our in-person meetings.
I'm here.
Okay, Paul.
Okay. If I could add, there is some sort of feedback. So there are some who are not muted. And perhaps if everybody could mute themselves, that might deal with the feedback issue. But anyway, let me begin and take up as little time as possible. As I'm sure you're reading every day or seeing on the news, there's great news on the vaccination front regarding COVID. The rollout of vaccine, the distribution, the administration is working better and better each week. I don't know if the word is contrarily, if there is such a word, but we are seeing an increase in the number of cases and hospitalizations at the same time. And this increase is, excuse me, it's happening in about half of the states of our nation.
Excuse me, Paul, that feedback is pretty bad.
Arthur, you don't appear to be muted.
Joe,
Rosa, you're not
you're muted. Joe Watts, you're muted.
Joe, you have the ability to put everyone on mute yourself, Joe, as the moderator.
Yep. Okay, I'm sorry. See if that helps any, Paul, and I'll go through and see if anybody. Art's muted. Okay, Paul.
Shall I begin at the beginning or?
No, pick up where you left off. Please.
Okay, so basically there is a demand, and it's understandable that there's a demand for quote unquote a return to normal. But this, by doing so and doing so too quickly, before we're really ready to do this, is really threatening a lot of good work. And the danger is that the more transmission that we have increases the risk of new variants, new viral variants developing. One or some of these variants may at some point have enhanced capacities for transmission between people. And they may be strains that current vaccines will not provide protection against. I know that Eastman is preparing and planning for expanding our amenities, the availability of our amenities. And I know many people are asking about Forbes Tavern. And that's part of the planning activities that are going on. But I will say that given the very troubling increase in the transmission that's going on, the number of cases, and we have to see what's going to happen with the vaccinations. At some point, the demand for vaccine may start to decline, even though there's still significant portions of our population that are not vaccinated. So, this is I said it before, it's an evolving situation. It's a very dynamic situation. But this is really not, well, let me put it this way, this is really the time to practice our patience. If we're going to reopen, we want to do it right and do it in a way where it's not going to foster an outbreak of new cases. So please, I ask you to exercise your patience. We are looking at what's happening. We do this on weekly meetings, and it will happen, but it's not going to happen this week. It's not going to happen this month. We may be several months away.
Thank you. Thank you, Paul, for that update. I still hope, I don't know, several months. At one time, we were shooting for August, September timeframe. But again, it's a lot to do with the availability of the Forbes Tavern. So thanks, Paul, for that. I'd like Tom Knoll just to give us a brief statement on about our website. And for people that might be new or for people that want to know about the Squires. So Tom, are you there? You might want to
I'll
just
step in now.
Thank you.
Squires, we have an updated website and it offers a lot. And well, first of all, the address. The address is new. It's countrysquiresnh.org. No need to write it down. We will send an email to all the membership letting you know about it. And it includes a lot of archival information, forms and the like. Much of the material we have to give thanks to John Bellis because he organized and hunted up a lot of material to add to the website that we never had before. Also, new addition to the website, we have to give thanks to Squires member David Bloom, who has contributed many, many photographs that we will be using in the website, many of which are already posted. So look for the email to come, and now I'll get back to Joe.
Thank you, Tom, for that update. John, I just wanted to ask, I guess there's probably no change, but where we stand on the paid membership, is it roughly the same as last month?
Actually, that was my memory, but then I checked. So here's a quick summary on dues and membership. Since the last meeting, we collected dues from 6 members and 1 of the 2 proposed members. So in total, we've collected dues from 121 members since last September. 6 members have not paid dues. 3 of them had given feedback to the membership committee saying they wanted to defer and see kind of what happens after COVID. So there's kind of a footnote against those 3. The other 3 could not be reached, Birchman, Doyle, and Munson, through every means possible, except search and rescue. So I'm going to be dropping them unless somebody knows them and can reach out to them and figure out if they are in fact interested and have just been off the grid. So in total, we have 128 members, 2 of whom are pending approval this meeting and or have been approved. And then as an overview, since January 2020, it's a wash. We added 17 brand new members, not counting the 2 pending members, and we dropped 17 members. And that's the report.
Yep, same.
You're muted, Joe.
I still have Paul on full screen through all that.
Check the upper right-hand corner of your screen, Arthur, and see if you can change your view to grid. Upper right.
Who's that handsome devil?
Is everything okay?
Joe, you're still muted. Joe Watts, you're still muted.
Sorry, thank you. Okay, Art.
Okay, Joe, did you call on me?
Yes, you're set to go.
Okay.
I guess.
All right. All right, great. So good afternoon, everybody. Most of us are familiar with the New London Barn Playhouse, and we've known it for 2 generations as a good local theater. But in recent years, it has become award-winning regional theater, and with cars and buses bringing people to New London from everywhere on performance days. In fact, this is one of the rare occasions where Hanover comes to New London. The principal reason for this is the executive artistic director, our guest for today. I'm pleased to introduce Keith Coughlin.
Okay, Keith, are you there?
I sure am. Thank you. I thank Art right off the bat for his kind words about the Barn Playhouse and myself. I will say I'm not wearing a hat today, but seeing, I hope I'm not going to lose this entire audience before I've said anything, but I won't wear my NY hat, seeing that he's got an Mets hat on. So I guess if I was to wear a hat, I'd just revert to the Barn Playhouse hat in this moment. Yeah, so we'll put both aside so that we don't get any conflicts talking about baseball right off the bat. But as a huge baseball fan, I sure am excited about opening day having arrived to us. Before I get to some of the words that I've prepared for the day, I just want to thank Paul for his words to the group, because I think they represent a lot of what we're dealing with at the Barn Playhouse right now in terms of planning moving forward, trying to answer questions to what truly feels as if a little bit of a moving target and a changing day by day, week by week target, and trying to just maintain safety and patience. We've all been through an awful lot in this last calendar year, and I just wanted to comment before I get to some of my prepared words about how much I did appreciate his statement, and couldn't be more true in this moment of, I think that we're all sort of itching to get back to a semblance of normalcy, but having to just keep working to be patient for a little bit farther. So, and we're for sure dealing with that at the Barn Playhouse as we plan for the summer and our programming for the summer. So, with that said, as I was so graciously introduced, I say good afternoon, and my name is Keith Coughlin. I am the Executive Artistic Director of the New London Barn Playhouse. I started at the New London Barn Playhouse in 2008 as a guest choreographer. My wife and I traveling to New London for maybe 1 production a summer here in New London, turned into 2 productions, turned into full summers, turned into now we are full residents here, and glad to be here in New London. 2021 marks the sixth season that I am serving as Executive Artistic Director, and I couldn't be more proud to hold this position and to guide this cherished organization in our community forward. I often say honoring the traditions of the long history in our community that the Barn Playhouse has held, and usher us forward into a guided and exciting future. I appreciate the familiar faces I see on the screen today, albeit virtually. And again, I offer special appreciation for this invitation from Art Rosen that he's extended this opportunity to speak with you all today. It is the second time I've had the privilege of speaking to the group, initially talking about maybe some of the ins and outs of what it means to produce a season at the Barn, but we're in a unique time. as a performing arts venue. So I'm glad to talk with you again today. I started writing this and to say, and pretty much all I can say is, oh, what a year it has been. I want to extend my sincere hope that you and your families have remained safe and healthy during the time, and that, pardon me, obviously the COVID-19 pandemic has had an immense impact on our world and just about every entity in it. Today, I hope to share a little insight on how it has affected my industry, the performing arts sector, tell you a little bit about the Barn Playhouse's plans for the summer ahead and some of the challenges we face, and how those of us at the Barn continue to look to the future. There are big things happening on Main Street in New London. If you've driven by the Barn on Main Street over the past week, you have begun to see some of the big things that are happening for us at the Barn on Main Street. But we'll talk a little bit about that later. Last spring, at this time, almost to the exact date, we faced the difficult decision of canceling all of our in-person live events for our 2020 season that was set to be our 88th summer season. We had lined up a full slate of performances, developed marketing materials, cast and hired the majority of our senior seasonal company, and already had sold many subscriptions for tickets to some of you actually on the screen. In retrospect, it was, of course, the entirely correct decision to be made at that time, but it was, of course, a difficult one. The performing arts sector around the world relies on in-person events and ticket sales, and nearly in a moment's notice was shut down completely. It wasn't even as if it still existed, it changed. It was shut down completely. It went from the 100 miles an hour of producing works around the world to nothing. Broadway productions, touring companies, regional theaters, museums, galleries were no longer preparing to share their artistic products, but closing their doors and trying to find ways to survive. We still face many of these same challenges 12 months later. Performing arts venues view ourselves as the first ones that were needed to be closed, and most likely will be the last ones to open completely in a sense of normalcy. While I recognize that there has been much greater loss in our society, I myself have not evaded personal loss during the pandemic. We are a business, albeit performing shows and producing shows. We are a business, a nonprofit organization. And when you cannot produce your product and run your business, how do you survive? One way for us as a nonprofit was the support of others. I am incredibly grateful to those community members and Barn supporters who have supported us during this challenging time. That support has been received tenfold. It's been truly remarkable. Another way is to think creatively. We are artists, aren't we? I look back over the past year and the Barn, and while not producing in-person events, we've produced 2 radio plays, one in conjunction with NHPR, a virtual gala concert, singing Valentine videograms, virtual after-school programs, launched a new masterclass series, and more. We were driven to shine on, even though we had to shut the lights off within that cherished building, that we would shine on and continue to reach our patrons. And I'm incredibly proud of what we've accomplished. And I hope that many of you have been able to appreciate some of those offerings that we've been able to share. But I'd rather not belabor over the past. We all recognize how hard of a time it has been, and we look to the future. Starting in the fall of 2020, the barn staff began to discuss multiple options for the 2021 season, developing multiple budgets, calendars, scenarios. What might we be able to accomplish? Where might we be as a society when the summer of 2021 rolled around? On March 17th, not all that long ago, we were excited to share the fruits of some of that labor, and we announced our Summer Under the Stars 2021 season. This season will consist of 5 productions produced under an open air 50 by 90 tent situated in the field behind Ivy Science Center on the Colby Sawyer campus. We've been excited to say 2 organizations, Colby Sawyer College and the Barn Playhouse, on either end of Main Street, coming together to creatively work to offer some musical offerings and productions for our community. It will not be a typical season, a typical summer. It will look different, but we're thrilled to still showcase the young artists and produce entertaining productions that you've come to know and love from the barn. We're gonna spread people out, some social distance seating. We're limiting some of the size of our production to be able to accomplish this, but we're excited to share music and performance once again that we might gather safely. As you can imagine, this planning is not without hurdles, especially in the current state. Today, here, April 8th, our current state within the pandemic, limiting the size of our staff, many health and safety protocols, cleaning, masks, vaccinations, air filtration systems, many things to still take into account. We work under a contract, a collective bargaining agreement with Actors Equity Association, which is the union for actors and stage managers. And while we hire a number of young artists that are not members of the union, because of this contract, we have to live under the umbrella of this agreement with the Actors and Stage Managers Union. Not surprisingly, to be granted these contracts for their members, we have to complete a thorough health and safety protocol. I won't elaborate too far on the guidelines and worksheets that's about 30 pages to fill out for this health and safety protocol, all very important, but important steps to take that we can keep our staff and patrons safe. In addition, Elliot Cunningham, our managing director, and I are members of a group of performing arts venue arts administrators from across the state who meet bi-weekly with members of the governor's reopening task force, the State Council on the Arts, members of the State House of Representatives, and on occasion, because it is on Zoom, my 4-year-old and 2-year-old sons making appearances through the door here to make their presence known. So we continue to work on our health and safety protocols with sort of national guidelines within the union, and looking more specifically, working together with the state, the governor's office, reopening task force, and other performing arts venues within the state, so that we may be able to obviously be prudent in following guidelines and create protocols in which we can produce safely. Interesting side note to share. Typically in the spring, I'm traveling around the country looking for young artists to invite to join us here in New London for the summer. This year, many of those young artists have fine-tuned the art of the virtual video audition. Typically, I participate in industry collective auditions in which an organization invites many arts administrators to come to one place, and over a weekend's time, you see hundreds of auditions over one weekend's time. All of these collective auditioning arts organization or audition organizations have gone virtual in this spring. So while I am not traveling to see all of those young artists, I still have access to nearly 1,200 video audition submissions to join us for what we will be producing. Not only, I think, as a society, we're clamoring to be able to join back together in enjoying performances, but I can tell you that artists are chomping at the bit to be able to create and look to begin to be able to create again safely. All this to say, there's still a lot of work to be done for the summer, but we're excited to create. We're excited to create a space that our staff and our patrons can once again gather and enjoy music and song and dance in what I picture is on an idyllic summer, New Hampshire summer night as the sun sets, and enjoy the music and performance of these young artists. And we have been determined to do this again this summer in a safe and prudent way, but to be able to still gather together to enjoy those productions, just as we have done in the barn in the past. Not only are we looking to the future for productions in the immediate future for this summer, but we have been hard at work, quite honestly, nearly 8 years, on a project that will impact the barn and its audiences for generations to come. I'm speaking, of course, if you don't know, of our current Play a Part capital campaign. As I said, we've been working for many years on this design that focuses on 4 main pillars to affect our organization: patron experience, the work conditions for our staff, education programming that we can offer to our community, and sustained excellence of our campus and what we're able to produce. And I have to tell you, I could not be more excited and thrilled about the impact that this project is going to make on our organization and our community, and address each of these important components. What are a couple of details about what we're trying to tackle in this, and what might you see on Main Street? In terms of patron experience, we've taken our beloved porch and we've designed a way to extend that porch to give us more space to gather as on an evening when you come to enjoy a production at the Barn Playhouse. A brand new welcoming courtyard, no standing in the street on Main Street off of the ramp during intermission or before the show, a way for us to gather together. I've envisioned people being able to gather and enjoy speaking with friends and community members before a show, during intermission, maybe even after, in this wonderful welcoming courtyard right next to the barn. If you've ever been to a barn production, you know that one of the things that we face often is that the patron bathrooms are down a rocky path to get to those patron bathrooms. And we're excited to say that we're creating patron bathrooms that are on the main level, right? On the same level as the theater to help that patron experience. Also, a common bit of feedback we get from our patrons is in regards to our parking lot. I'm excited to say plans to pave and stripe and organize our parking lot are in the plans. And one of the largest components of the campaign is a new building that will sit right here on our campus. That is our new Center for Artistic Development. That is not going to only serve as a rehearsal studio in the summer, but a multi-purpose space in which we can offer wonderful classes, lectures, receptions, a space in which we can gather as a community to celebrate the barn and offer you even more experiences than we have been within the barn. Work conditions for our staff. If you've ever happened to take a tour You have seen some of the spaces in which our incredible, talented staff work in, and hate to place judgment on our own spaces, but they are pretty subpar. Our scenic shop works in a scenic shop that has about a 6-foot ceiling, and they're forced to work out into the driveway, which always contends with Mother Nature. And all of our spaces are going to see much needed enhancements to each and every department in their workspaces. A new dressing room layout and a new orchestra pit. If you've ever peeked down over the corner of the orchestra pit within the theater, you can see that those musicians fit within a pretty tiny space. So we're seeing some wonderful enhancements to what the spaces are that our artists can work in. I mentioned our Center for Artistic Development. This is going to be a 12-month building, and it's giving us a wonderful opportunity to extend our programming into other months outside of those, what we would typically serve between Memorial Day and Labor Day. We believe in the philosophy of exposing our community to the arts, ages 4 to 84, or maybe we'll say even 104 for that matter. And we're excited to be able, in this new 12-month building, as I said, offer additional and new programming to share the arts with our community in a new and exciting way. Our Center for Artistic Development, in my belief, can be a cornerstone in sharing of the arts in our community. And finally, our last pillar is based on sustaining excellence. We have a wonderful 200-year-old lady, our barn that sits here on Main Street, and we look to take care and preserve that cherished building. As we increase our facilities, we're able to attract the best and brightest of young professional talent and young new budding artists, and to build on our strong reputation of producing excellent work, not only for our community, but as a representative in the national discussion of how we help serve and nurture young artists as they begin their careers. Not to take it back to a baseball reference, but I've always say that the barn is the place where you get to see that young artist before they launch themselves onto the career. I'll maybe compare it to the Cape Cod League. You get to see those young artists before they make it to the major leagues, and you can say that you were able to see that young talent and enjoy that before they were launched into the wonderful things that they do in their careers. Ground has been broken. If you drive by the barn, you'll see the activity, and we plan to complete this project by the start of next summer. And boy, what a summer it will be. After a summer away in 2020 and a thrilling summer under the tent on Colby Sawyer's campus in 2021, we will all gather together back in the barn to celebrate the 90th summer season in the summer of 2022. And we look forward to sharing the new enhancements that we will have taken on. Again, I find myself overwhelmed by the support that we have gained from the community. What started with my predecessors, Tom DeMille and Carol Dunn, has now been ushered forward by our remarkable board of directors and our staff. This project is becoming a true reality and will enhance our organization and what we will be able to offer our community. So there's exciting things happening for us. As I said, our cherished building, our barn, has been dark for a number of months. It's been a challenging time for all, but pretty remarkably challenging for performing arts venues. This lady here on Main Street still sits dark, but I can tell you that those of us that cherish it and work to usher it forward can continue to think creatively, that how we might continue to produce, and how we might write the next chapters in the long and storied history and tradition of the Barn Playhouse. The summer is going to look different, but I can tell you, boy, is it going to be exciting to gather together on a beautiful summer night and hear those wonderful artists share their talents and hear that music ring out once again. And then even farther beyond that, to gather once again within the barn in its new and exciting scope. I'm grateful for your attention and your time. We continue to navigate. We all recognize that the pandemic is not over by any means, and we continue to navigate forward in a prudent and safe way. But the future is bright at the new London Barn Playhouse. Much of that has to do with a hardworking board of directors and staff, but much of that has to do with the ownership of this organization from its community, from the community, each and every one of you who support the barn. We will continue to shine on, and I hope that you know that we as a staff take great pride in ownership of what we can offer our community and how we look to continue to honor what the barn has meant to so many and what it means to us. And we are grateful for the community's support. I hope that I've maybe given you at least a small insight onto what it is that we have been navigating and how we look forward to the future. I could talk for a long period of time about all that goes into what we do, but I would really be happy to answer questions and see what that sparks in additional conversation. As Joe has said, there are two ways for you to probably to do that, whether it's clicking participants and then looking for your name and raising your hand, albeit virtually. Will also kind of scroll between screens if you want to raise your hand independently in your own video. The third option being that there is a chat feature at the bottom of the screen in which you might type something in, share it with everyone, and I'll try to address those as they come in. But I look forward to answering any questions that you might have. I see that Mike, you're the first hand that I've seen up, so why don't you go ahead and you can ask away.
Hi, Keith. Good to see you again.
Thank you, Mike.
So two questions. One is germane to this season, as you had indicated you offered, you're in the process of offering, I apologize for a dog in the background. You were in the process of offering opportunities to interns last year when obviously things went to hell in a handbasket, so to speak. Obviously, that crushed the hopes of some kids. Are you offering some of those same kids an opportunity to come back for this year? Or are you going with a completely different group, number one? The other question is I'm one of the board members of the Kearsarge Community Band, which actually has been around even almost 100 years longer than the barn. It started in 1839 and went through 1941 and then was on a hiatus, but then came back. So, and I would like to talk to you offline with respect to potential uses collaboratively of space once you're in the new space and have a year-round facility and so forth. All our performances during the summer are outdoors and so forth. But from a winter concert perspective, there might be some collaborative opportunities from a space perspective. So best way to contact offline would be what?
Great. I'll probably start there and sort of work my way back to your first question, I can say that I have enjoyed the Kearsarge Community Band on the green in many a summer night. So I commend its long history. And the best way, and I've got sort of nothing to hide in terms of sharing, is my email address is Keith, as spelled Keith, at nlbarn.org. So nlbarn.org. I think that we're excited about a lot of potential ways to collaborate. So Mike, I will say that that's the best way to reach me, and we'll talk sort of offline about potentials or what things we're maybe facing at this point in time, even in developing programming. But I'd be happy to talk with you about it. In terms of casting and hiring, because I'm going to offer both. I think oftentimes we think of the intern company and the performers and the casting component of what that is, but there is also a whole search for young. I'm going to include them as artists because they truly artisans of our technical staff that are many of them undergrads or master students in their own right. And that is an entire hiring and process of its own. As I said, we were pretty much, I would say we were about 95% hired when the decision had to be made. So to speak specifically to your question, that's where we are starting our casting process, by looking at those folks. You know, we said to them when we cast them and when we had to cancel, we hired you for a reason. We liked you. We wanted you to come here. So we hope to reach out in the future. The delicate balance with that is we have reduced our staff size, partly out of safety protocol. We're going to have to be doing testing on our staff even after vaccinations increase in percentage, spreading people out in housing. So instead of hiring an acting company of 16 and guest artists and technicians, all of that is compacting in. We're going to hire an acting company that's going to consist of equity professional artists, some alumni, and some undergraduate, we'll say new artists, of only 8 for the repertory company that we're going to do. But there are going to be, we've already talked with some of those folks that we offered to in 2020, and some have already accepted, and boy, we sure hope that some of the ones that there are offers going out to will, because I think that it is important to me that they missed out on that opportunity, and you missed out on getting to meet them, and I want that to happen. And so there are artists that we, both technician and performance, that we're going to offer to come to join us this summer. But you'll also see that we're going to bring some alumni back to help us with those performances, that I think is also going to be an important part of the summer. It has been an integral part of what I believe in supporting these artists, not only in the summers that they've been here, but allowing them to go sort of off into the world and grow as artists, and then get the opportunity to bring them back. So there'll be a combination of both. I hope that answered both of your questions, Mike.
Yes, thank you so much.
Yeah. Charlie, I see your hand up.
Yes, Keith, what are the 5 events that we're going to, or performances we're going to be seeing this summer?
That's great. Yes. The 5 events, and I appreciate this. You've helped me lead into another thing I wanted to describe. So there are 5 total productions. Those 5 productions are, 1, an original created review of Broadway musical theater pieces that we're calling Shining On, Broadway and the Barn, that we're newly creating. A production called A Grand Night for Singing, which is an overview of the canon of Rodgers and Hammerstein. So I think we've heard some of that music before, I might say, yes, that features all of their music. we're taking the production of Anything Goes, the Cole Porter music, and we're creating a concert version. And so what does that mean exactly? Well, there will be some dancing, some discussion and telling of the story, but it's really going to be a concert version to feature the music of Cole Porter that we love from that production. A production of that's called And the World Goes Round, which is a collection of music from the composers Kander and Ebb. If you don't know them by name, you probably know them by that they wrote the music for Chicago and Cabaret, a whole slew of other library of shows. And so this review features all of their music. And finally, a musical performance called Always Patsy Cline, which rounds out our season, which features the music of Patsy Cline and tells the story of a really wonderful story of the relationship between Patsy Cline and one of her lifelong fans, Louise. That was actually true, and that they were sort of pen pals and wrote back and forth, hence the name Always Patsy Cline, in the way that she would sign those letters, that features all the music of Patsy Cline. The add-on to that list is to say that we're doing something unique in 2021, and that the first 4 shows that I mentioned are going to be performed in what is called a repertory season. And you may know what that is, but if you don't, it means, for all practical purposes, each night there will be a different performance out of those 4. So it's sort of a rotating schedule. So different from a normal season at the barn, where a show might open and run for 2 weeks and then close, and then another for 2 weeks and close. We're going to rehearse and learn all 4 of these shows in the month of June. And then in the month of July and the beginning of August, we're going to alternate each night so that you could enjoy different performances on each night. If you happen to love one that you see, there's many opportunities throughout the summer in which you could return to see that production. Without trying to sound too much like a sales pitch, but you can take it as that. You can find out all of that information on our website, nlbarn.org, that has ways to, right now, to buy a unique ticket package. And then at the end of April, single tickets will go on sale. And it has the calendar of those events as well, that you can see how that sort of works for those first 8 weeks of performance. So really, I look at this season as a collection, as a true celebration of music in the sort of library of musical theater. Rodgers and Hammerstein, Kander and Ebb, Broadway at its finest, Cole Porter. Each and every night you can expect just joyful and wonderful music that have been represented within the library of American Broadway musical theater. So thank you, Charlie, for that question and the opportunity to talk a little bit more about all of that. So thank you.
There were a couple chat questions, Keith. I don't know if you saw them. One was, did you reach your financial goal, fundraising goals?
I didn't see those in my chat, Joe. So you shoot them at me and I'll address them. I will say that in 2020, we did, in simple terms, we did meet our financial goals, and that was a number of different things that made that possible. One was, of course, as soon as we made the decision to cancel in-person live events, it was sort of a immediate sort of reconvening of our annual budget to make sure that we were only sort of spending to where we needed to. I'm proud to say that our 12-month full-time positions, which total 6 positions, that we were able to keep all of those full-time positions on staff. And quite honestly, some wonderful support from the community to help support us. Folks that transferred money that they paid for in subscription to donation, those that donated to our annual fund. And we did file and receive some funding from the state that went specifically to live venues. That continues to allow us to remain afloat, I'll say. So yes, we still stay in healthy standing, and we look toward staying in that way. And some of that is only made possible by the continued support of the community and some additional support in funding that has come at the state and national level to arts venues. I can tell you now it has been fairly public knowledge that in the bill that was passed, the most recent bill that was passed in sort of governmental funding, there was money allotted specifically called Save Our Stages to live performing venues. And our managing director, Elliot Cunningham, is in this current moment filing. The portal opened at noon today and is filing to try to gain some of that support that has been allotted on the federal level. It's the only way we could be looking forward to be producing in the summer creatively is by these multiple avenues of support.
Thanks, Keith. You kind of answered a couple questions. There was one other, and I think we'll probably wrap up the question time is, Noel, Weinstein, did you get your question asked?
No.
Please do, Noel.
Yeah, in the new construction, is there any chance that the parking lot will be expanded?
Yes, I can proudly say yes. I think what I can tell you in more detail is that plans to pave, stripe, light, and create, again, I don't mean to be defaming myself here, if that's the right way I want to say it, creating organization to chaos. If you've tried to navigate the parking lot in the past, it's been fairly challenging. Paving, striping, lighting, and creating entrance ways and exits ways. Entrance and exits are going to organize that. What it's going to do, Noel, while it is not going to entirely fix parking, we are definitely going to gain more spaces for parking in an organized way so that we can fit more cars and they can be done in a more organized manner. So organizing and gaining some, for sure, was a key component. If for those that have been patrons to the barn, you might not be surprised that two of the most common things we hear are comments about parking and bathrooms. So we're excited to take on some of those responsibilities in the campaign. So
great.
Well, again, thanks so much, Keith. Boy, it sounds like you're doing one hell of a job over there, and I'm sure the entire community appreciates the efforts. And it looks like you're being quite successful to boot in as well. So again, congratulations and thanks so much for your talk today.
Well, I thank you for the invitation. I am always happy to talk about the barn. I take great pride in the position that I'm in, and as I said, what we can do to provide entertainment to the community. I will acknowledge that one of your very own, Jim Prevost, who is on the screen, is a board of director member and has included in his background a rendering of the one of the renderings of the campaign. Oh, yeah. We do have big things happening. It's been a trying time, but through the support of many, we look forward to a bright future. And so I thank you for the ability to talk about it. And I thank all of you who I do know that are on this screen that that continue to support the barn. So thank you so much.
And thanks again to you. I do have one slight comment. I noticed when you were going through your presentation, this isn't so much a question, but as you looked through our gallery here, you said from age 4 to 84, but then you quickly changed it to 104. I can understand.
Yes. Well, we look, I thank you, Joe. I look to, I hope we're able to offer exciting opportunities for everybody. Maybe that's the safest way to say it. So,
Well, thanks again. Okay, with that, I'd like to ask Art Rosen, if you would, Art, tell us about next month's speaker.
Thank you, Joe, and thank you, Keith. That was exactly the right talk that we were hoping for, covering both the artistic and the business part of the Barn Playhouse. Now, how do I get to be on full screen? Okay, well, I'll speak from up here. Our speaker in May will be Chris Shadler. And Chris, she could be called the Coyote Lady because coyotes are the biggest part of the work that she does. Coyotes are thought of as a pest from many people. They are a problem to livestock, they're a problem to pets, but they do an awful lot in the balance of nature. Chris will point out that there is no season on coyotes. It is 365 days where anyone can kill a coyote. She sees them as a persecuted beast, and she will speak of them almost from a loving point of view. Her talk will be the real Eastern coyote. We'll all find it interesting because they affect us. And if you're up at night and it's a quiet night, you will hear them. And you will hear from Chris next month. Thank you.
Thank you, Art. Appreciate it. So with that, we're coming to a close of this meeting. I just hope again that all this nice weather we're having and we're not suffering Zoom fatigue, that we can all look forward to another very entertaining and informative meeting next month. So again, thank you all for being here. And with that, unless there's any other final new business, we'll close this meeting and see you next month. Meantime, be safe.
Thank you, Keith.
Thanks, Keith.
Bye, guys.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you all.